Welcome to Empowered to Grow, the podcast. I am your host, Hanan El Basha, the business doctor. Following our conversations with empowered women who woke up one day and consciously claimed, I am more than enough, I am worthy, I am empowered to grow. And along their empowering journey towards realizing their own potential and their quest for growth, they became a beacon of hope and guidance for others. May you also find your inner power to grow. Hi everyone, another impromptu live coming your way, unplanned, but possibly a bit delayed. But I thought I have this idea and I want to share it with you. And I would love your thoughts and feedback on it. First, I'm kind of thinking that the podcast and the lives on the group now are becoming kind of my video journal, which is great because that means I could go back and I can kind of have milestones and benchmarks to measure up against where I've been and where I'm going. I'm excited about where I'm going. And yet this theme kept coming up for me and I wanted to share it with you again. And I know you could have seen a few posts. I think I've done it in the last live last week. The theme of accountability. What does it mean? What does it really mean? And the idea has been brewing in my head and marinating and kind of coming up with different faces to it and facets to it. Accountability to myself and accountability to others. And what does that mean? Is that I've set up, and I'm sure you've done the same, whether at this point in your life, previously, or in the future, possibly. I've set up goals and I've set up aspirations and I've set up milestones. And I've set up a lot of things that I want to achieve, I aspire to achieve, I plan to achieve. And yet I found myself blocked, possibly, or at a standstill. And thus I realized I had to stop. I spent so much of my life looking for a scapegoat. I had to be honest with myself. I was looking for someone else, something else to kind of pass on the blame to. Pass on where I am to, pass on the fact that I'm not where I want to be to. And that included the business aspect, that included the health aspect, that included the physical aspect, as in the physical location of where I am. I blamed it even on where I'm physically located geographically. So I've taken it that far. And thus one day I had to wake up and say, if I'm accountable for my life, if I'm accountable for everything within it, let me look at it from this perspective. Let me see what I can do, how I can do it, who I can contact, instead of thinking why I can't do it. And that in itself is a very important question. That the fact that why we can't do it, we can think of 1,000 reasons why something's not happening for us or to us, or in our life, or whatever it is. And yet when we stop and hold ourselves accountable, say, this is not happening because of that, and not from a blame perspective, not from, oh, see, I told you can't do that. Not from a negative self-talk perspective. Trust me, I've been there a lot as well. And as I've shared in a post earlier, it kind of started crawling back onto me. And I realized that I had to shed it off. I had to stop it and nip it again at the roots because I spent so much time and so much effort doing that. So it was time to go back and say, okay, I am accountable for where I am in my life right now. Now what? How do I move from here? How do I not blame anything or anyone in my life? How do I put actionable steps towards where I want to go? And that in itself opened up a whole array for me of actions and routes and people to talk to. And trust me, I have been through that so many times before. I have spoken to so many people. I have attended actually hundreds of meetings. And yet I had to stop and say, okay, now what? Because what's very important for us is to really have a target, have somewhere we want to go, something we want to do. This zombie mode, I call it, this zombie mode of I wake up and I attend to whatever I need to attend to go to bed in the morning so I can wake up and attend to whatever I need to attend to. That's zombie mode, gets us nowhere and keeps us trapped in this, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I call it stuckiness now. And just being stuck where you are and complaining and finding the scapegoats, it's just not very beneficial. Not for you, not for anyone else within your vicinity or anyone that you were destined to impact. And that is a very important thing. So taking it from there, I had to say, okay, so why another reason or another aspect or another element, a parallel element of why am I not where I want to be? And I found that there's this sense of entitlement that, again, has been brewing up inside me. And not entitlement as anyone owes me anything, but entitlement in the sense of I've spent 20 plus years professionally building myself up, building my career up, building my credentials up. And so people should be knocking at my door. I shouldn't be approaching them. I shouldn't be poaching them. I shouldn't be asking / begging for any business. They know me. I shouldn't be in this position right now. That's one sense of entitlement. The other sense was I spent so much effort, and so much time, and so much money changing my mindset around, educating myself about my health and my wellness and getting all the certifications that are associated with it. So why aren't I not healthy? I'm entitled to it. I know everything. But have I acted on it? The answer was sometimes, or actually a lot of times, no. Then there was a third element of my mindset. Okay, so I'm a positive person. I have a positive mindset. I have a growth mindset. I have the abundance mindset. Why isn't the universe conspiring to give me? And it was like, okay, because I'm still healing on the inside. Because there are still elements within me and areas within me that I need to address, whether that be self-worth, relationship with money, in like that, I spoke of this before, imposter syndrome that curls up. These are things that need healing. So no, I won't be attracting these things into my life. The universe will not conspire to give me what I want when I'm not ready to receive it. Because part of me, part of that voice in my head still believes that you're not ready yet. Really? You're going to get all that? You're going to get that recognition? You're going to have that impact? You can reach that many people? So entitlement had to show up for me the more I was working on the accountability exercise. And the more I realized that entitlement does not mean that things will happen for me. Entitlement could mean that I have the seeds. I have planted those seeds. I have worked very hard to acquire the seeds. I've worked harder to plant the seeds. And yet I had not nourished and nurtured the seeds until they grow into the flourishing, blossoming trees. I had done it, possibly. I'm not saying I didn't do it. I'm just saying I didn't do it consistently. And anyone who knows anything about plants and farms and everything knows that it's about the consistent efforts. It's not a one time you kind of water a plant and boom, you've got a tree. A blossoming flower comes up. It doesn't happen that way. And thus, it also means for me to be accountable, meaning that I have to acknowledge the fact that I'm not starting from scratch. I have to acknowledge the fact that I have the seeds. I had nourished and nurtured the seeds for some time, not consistently possibly, but yet I have something that I could go back and keep nourishing and keep taking care of until they blossom, and thus plant other seeds alongside. And it's not a one-end game. We all know that. It is an infinite game of planting and sowing and reaping and planting and sowing and reaping. So these are the thoughts that I had on my mind the past week or 10 days as I had been working and focusing on what I want to offer, again, why I'm here, why I'm doing what I'm doing, what value could I add to people's lives, what impact do I aspire to leave as a legacy. And these could be quite big questions, but with everything happening around us in life, I think it's time that we stop and ask ourselves that question, those questions actually, and start doing actions towards those. I have been blessed to acknowledge the fact that I can be vulnerable, and that vulnerability is not a weakness, and yet it is a superpower. And the more vulnerable I am, the more open I am, the more I speak up about everything I'm thinking, everything I'm experiencing and going through and growing through, the more people reach out to me and say thank you. And I'm not saying this out of vanity, I'm saying this out of gratitude for everyone who pitches in, who becomes vulnerable, who shares a bit and exposes a bit of themselves. Whether we're talking about entrepreneurship or even just as in our everyday life, we should normalize vulnerability. Yes, we aspire to be superheroes, and yet as humans, we are fragile and we experience things and we go through cycles, and it is okay not to be okay. And I think that is the part that we need to normalize more. And yet also it is great that we can pick ourselves up again, and that we can proceed, and that we can move forward, and that we can grow stronger, and we can learn and evolve. And we need to normalize that as well. My vulnerability and what I share here is not a weakness, and it's not an invitation for anyone to say, oh, that's what you thought a year ago. I celebrate this. I celebrate the fact that I'm growing through all of the experiences I'm going through. I'm celebrating the fact that the thoughts in my head, as negative as they could be, I'm working very hard on transforming them into positive, empowering thoughts. As we always say, empowered you empowers others. And I'm happy that the Me Too movement that is happening right now, and no, not the historical context of the Me Too movement, even though that in itself is empowering, but the Me Too movement of, yes, I felt that way. Yes, these are the thoughts that were going through my mind. Yes, that's how vulnerable I had been lately. And we need to share this more often. We need to empower one another to grow through these stages, because they're not here to stay. They're here to expose areas within us that possibly need more of our attention, more of our healing efforts, more of our connection and our collaboration. And if I'm going back again to accountability, find accountability partners. Find your accountability buddies, a friend, 2, 10, 100, no matter how big your network is or how small you want it to be. These are people who will hold you up when you're weak in the legs, who will push you on when you feel you've got no more power within you. And these are the ones that would share and would be vulnerable alongside, and would also be aspirational and inspirational alongside. So that's my message for today. I'm hoping that you're having an amazing week, as always. So I guess I'm gonna sum it up here and just say, once again, I remind you, empowered you empowers others. And I wish that you're always thinking, aspiring, working towards your love, your abundance, and your prosperity. I'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Grow podcast. For further engagement with a tribe of empowered women, join my Facebook group, Empowered to Grow, or visit my website, www.hananelbasha.com. I'll catch you on the next episode, and until then, know that empowered you empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all.